All right, hello and maybe good morning for some of you. We're going to do our 12-minute morning mobility routine. So this is a really good mobility routine to do first thing when you wake up to get your body started, or if you've been sitting for a long time. It doesn't have to be done in the morning, but this is just 12 exercises, about 30 to 60 seconds each. It's going to wake up our hips, low back, or spine, or shoulders. It's going to feel really, really nice, and it's a great way to start the day if you're feeling stiff and work on a lot of key areas for posture and core that we're going to need throughout the day. So you don't need any equipment. I've got a mat here for my knees. I have a foam roller in case I need it for balance. If you also have a wall nearby, that's going to be good as well for some balance support for some of these stretches. But really, if you have a yoga mat, you can roll that out, grab your water, your cup of coffee, anything you need, and we'll get started. So the first thing that we're going to do is start warming up. You don't want to just start stretching cold and really stiff in the morning. So we're going to do some standing knee hugs. We're going to go 30 seconds on these and just alternate bringing one knee up into your chest, trying to stay really tall here when you do these, and we'll just alternate together. So we're trying to stretch out the back of the hip here. Try not to bend your stance knee when you do this exercise. Just try to keep everything really tall and your chest up nice and tall. The next thing we're going to do now is work on the quads a little bit. We're going to do some alternating butt kicks. So you're going to try to kick your heel in toward your butt. Your knees are going to point towards the ground. I got to kind of go to the side here for you to show. So we're not bringing the leg forward at all. We're just kicking the heel to the butt. Nice and easy. It's not a karate kick. Nothing too intense right now. Just trying to get some blood flow going so that we're warm before we start doing some more of our static stretches. Nice. All right, we're going to grab a wall if we need it for some balance. We're going to do some ankle mobility stretches right now. I'm going to use the wall for some balance. I'm going to have my left foot forward and my right foot back. And I'm just going to bend at the knees. The goal here is to stretch out the back ankle. So your job is to try to make sure that the heel does not come off the ground on either foot. Both feet stay firmly planted on the ground, okay? Try to push your knees as far forward as you can. That's really nice. We're going 30 seconds per side here. And just drive the knees straight forward. Make sure the toes are pointing forward. You might notice you'll go deeper and deeper every rep as you open up. My right ankle is a little stiffer, so it takes me a little bit longer, but I can eventually feel that start to really let me go a little deeper. And we're going to switch sides. You don't have to change the direction of the way you're facing. You can keep the same hand on the same wall. We're going to go 30 seconds the other side. Again, try to keep both heels down. Don't lift the heels up. That takes away from the stretch. Again, we're stretching the back ankle. The calf will get a little bit of a stretch. The Achilles. Just a nice comfortable breath here too. This shouldn't feel like too much work. You are going to be squatting a little bit. This is still part of a little bit more of our active warm-up before we do some more static stretching holds. That's really, really nice. All right, one more here, and then we're going to come on up. We can shake that out. We're going to come down to a tabletop position. Kick this out of the way a little bit more. And we're going to get into some cat-cows, which means we're going to get into a little tabletop here. Imagine you're on train tracks, so your hands, your knees, your feet are all facing the same direction and all on the same line. What we're going to do, we're going to go nice and smooth for 45 seconds. We're going to drop the belly and look up, a nice arch in the spine, arch in the back. And then we're going to push into the ground, tuck your chin into your chest, and round as much as you can. And then just repeat that same thing, just nice and fluid. We look up, we drop the belly, and then we try to tuck the tailbone between our legs, just for some nice motion here. You could take this nice and smooth, even in 45 seconds. If you only get 1 or 2 reps, that's fine if you want to hang out in each position. Otherwise, we'll definitely get 5, 6, 7, or 8 reps. Just moving nice and slow through this. Make sure we're not shrugging the shoulders too much, but really breathe. Exhale into the round. Inhale as we look up and drop the belly. And we're just going to keep going back and forth for about 2 more. Nice, easy breath. Very nice. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to get into a child's pose position, which is a knees wide, toes together position. Arms are going to be out a little in front of you. So we're not necessarily right underneath our shoulders here in like more of a tabletop position, but reach out just slightly ahead of you. What we're going to do is we're just going to do some child's pose rock backs for 60 seconds. So I'm going to have you push your hips back to your heels. You're going to also reach your chest towards the ground, and then we're just going to come back up and repeat. So the hips go back, you push yourself back into that deeper child's pose position. You can use your upper body to, again, drive those hips back to the heels. Stay nice and long on the arms, and then just try to drop your chest towards the floor. You should feel kind of active pull of that chest towards the ground. You don't just want to like sink down without any intention, but we actually do want to sit back and then pull ourselves in towards the floor. You'll feel your upper back get a little bit of a stretch here as well, trying to keep that spine nice and long. And generally speaking, you want your back to stay pretty flat here. If you need to bring your knees in more narrow or wider for comfort, that's totally cool. If you can't get all the way back onto those hips, that's also totally fine. Just work with what you got this morning. You'll feel this in your inner thighs. Your low back will get a stretch. Your upper back and arms. Very, very nice. All right. Next move for us, working right along. You might need your pad here. We're going to do a hip flexor rock stretch. We're going to do this on both sides. We're going to go 30 seconds each. So I'm going to start on my left knee down. I'm going to just try to make sure that I'm pretty in line. My front knee is right over my ankle. My back hip is right over my knee. And then now, whatever knee is down, so my left arm is going to come up. I'm going to drive my hips forward, reach up and over towards the side, and then rock back. We're going to do that for 30 seconds per side. We're not trying to sink too far forward and arch your back like crazy. It's just a subtle drive forward of the hips and that front knee, keeping that front foot flat on the floor like that ankle stretch we did before, and reaching up and across, a slight side bend for a little side body stretch. You'll feel this all down your left side into the front side of that hip and that quad. We're going to do about one more before we switch sides. Exhale into the stretch. That's good. And we'll do the other side. Switch knees. Get your position all set up. We got 30 seconds. We reach up and over. Again, you might notice one side a little tighter than the other. That's totally fine. But breathe into that stretch. The breath is the window to the nervous system. We want to make sure that when we stretch, we use that breath. Because tension and stiffness is a nervous system result, which means we want to breathe through to soften everything up, to allow our body to get deeper into our stretches. Our next stretch is going to be another little rocking stretch, just like this. It's an adductor stretch. So after this last one, we're going to come on down. I'm going to keep my mat under my knee. This is an adductor rock stretch, which means I'm going to get down on one knee. My other leg, my left leg, is going to be straight out towards the side. I'm actually going to go sideways for you here to see. All right, I'm going to have my hands down in front of me. This now mimics more of like a tabletop position with my upper body. And then all I'm going to try to do, keeping my left leg straight, don't bend the knee, but rock my hips back, just like that child's pose position. Exhaling into the stretch. We're going 45 seconds on each side. My thought here is like that child's pose, as I said, we're trying to keep our spines relatively neutral. So try not to just dump down and round into your back, right? We just want to keep a nice flat back. Once you feel the stretch in the inner thigh on that long leg, that means you've got it. So we don't have to push anything past that stretch. You may not need to go super far back, and that's totally cool. Again, mobility is about what we control and what we can own. So don't just push past what your body is saying is enough. We're going to do one more, and then we're going to switch sides. Very nice. We'll switch the sides. We go 45 seconds. I'm going to face just some different directions here for us, and we'll get on started 45 seconds. Again, one side might feel different than the other. If you want to spend a few extra seconds on the stiffer side, you totally can. Exhale into the stretch. Again, try to keep a really flat back. Got 45 seconds. And just breathe. Be mindful, be intentional about stretching. You have to focus on it. It's tedious, it can be boring. But these rocking stretches are nice because it allows our brains to be distracted with something to do while still getting a really nice deep stretch. The next few are going to be more static holds, so we'll need to really just focus on getting into the right position and breathing it out. Maybe about one more here in these adductor rock stretches. I could definitely feel myself getting back a little farther as we do this. All right, that's awesome. Next move, you're gonna definitely need that wall. If you don't have a wall, I'll show you a modification. We're gonna go 1 minute per side here. This is a kind of wall couch stretch. It's a stretch for our hip flexors. So I'm gonna get my mat right up against the wall. I'm gonna start with my right knee down. The back of my right foot is going to go on the wall. So my foot's actually pointed, not flexed. So the back of my foot is on that wall. I'm gonna come up into a half kneeling position here, getting a really nice stretch down the front side of my right leg. So that hip flexor and that quad. And now all you're gonna do is just sit and breathe. We have 1 minute on each side here, trying to think about getting really tall. So the idea is not to push forward like our rocking stretch. Now we just wanna imagine we're almost trying to tuck the pelvis. So we're trying to tuck our tailbone between our legs and then lengthen through the spine. Okay, I'm feeling a nice deep stretch down that right side. If you need that foam roller or something for stability, you can totally grab it. If you have a dowel, anything you need, a little side table. But we just want to stay nice and tall. You will definitely feel this open up over 60 seconds. Now, if you don't have a wall, what you can do is grab your back foot. If you have that flexibility, grab your back foot instead of just having it on the wall. So you can actually create a little bit of that same feeling just by using your own body. Or if you have a couch nearby, you put your back foot up on a couch, a bench, anything you've got. But remember, we're just trying to lengthen, stay nice and tall. You might cramp in the hamstring, you might cramp in the foot. If you need to come out of it, you totally can. That's not a problem whatsoever. Just shake it out and come on and join us again. Nice. That's 1 minute. We're gonna switch sides. Take your time getting set up. I like to move nice and slow through this, right? Mobility is just about moving slowly and intentionally. We're gonna come on up and repeat on the other side. It's very common, again, I say it every exercise, but we might feel a difference from side to side, and that's okay. We just wanna make sure that we give that side maybe a little more attention the next time around, or maybe when you're done with this 12-minute sequence, we can go back to those stretches that felt noticeably tighter on each side and just do a few more seconds on those tighter sides. Very nice. Again, we got a minute on this side. Nice stretch down this left leg. I tend to feel my right leg a lot more. My hip flexor on my right side tends to be a little bit tighter. This I'm noticing more down by my quad tendon, my knee, lower down my thigh. Love this one. This can be pretty intense for people, so if you need to make it a little easier, you move your knee farther away from the wall. If you want to make it a little harder, your back knee is a little closer to the wall so that your shin angle is a little bit more vertical. You are a little bit more bent in that back leg. You can move around for comfort here. Very nice. Our minute is almost up here. Yeah, okay. Now we're gonna work on our 90-90 holds. So I'm gonna kick this out of the way. We're gonna come all the way down to the ground. It's called 90-90 for a reason. We are making 90-degree angles with both our legs. So our knees are bent and our hips are flexed at 90 degrees. You should see that pretty clearly. Maybe turn to the side here for you. Now this stretch is not about just dropping down and rounding our back. What we're gonna do is stay nice and tall, and we're gonna fold, and we're hinging at the hip so that our back stays nice and flat, our spine is neutral, our hands come out in front of us, and we try to think about pulling the chest out versus just dropping down. We're just holding this position here. We're gonna start the timer now for about a minute now that we're all in it. And just breathe. As you do this stretch, you might be able to wiggle your hands out a little farther and get a little bit more of a deeper stretch. But again, I want you to think about hinging. You're almost pulling your front hip back and then allowing your chest to drop forward and out. This is going to target the hip on the front leg. So you should feel this predominantly kind of under and behind the butt on that forward side. You might cramp on the side of the hip here a little bit too. You can always come out of it and shake it out and wiggle it out, right? But try to hold and breathe in this position and see how deep we can go. I don't need you to go all the way out and super flat. See how my back starts to round if I do that? That means you're not getting the stretch where it's intended. It's still a good stretch, but not going to focus on the hip as much. Awesome. One more deep breath, and we'll switch to the other side. Very, very nice. So we'll just flip that whole thing around. We're gonna go 1 minute on this other side. Start by getting nice and tall, and then we pull the front hip back, push the chest out and forward. We hinge at the hip, and then we just breathe. Okay, we got 1 minute here. This side feels a little tighter for me too. My whole right side today is just feeling a little bit tighter. Again, nice neutral spine and flat back is the key. Don't just round and drop. A lot of times if you've seen like a pigeon pose in yoga, you'll have people get into these crazy shapes that are really impressive, but you'll just kind of fold forward and droop and drop. When we talk about mobility and we talk about especially at the hips, we want to isolate just the hip. Keeping a neutral spine helps us keep the stretch where it's supposed to be. I feel like I can now walk out a little bit farther. Lengthen your spine through the crown of your head. Stay really tall and long. Both knees should be resting on the ground. If you can't quite get both knees down, you can grab your little foam pad, a yoga block, and put it under that front knee. One more deep breath. Very nice. All right, we're gonna come on up. We're gonna now come into a kneeling position. We're gonna now stretch the upper back out a little bit, some of those neck, shoulder, spine positions that are gonna be needed throughout the day for our posture. So we're gonna come into a half kneel position here, which means my left knee is down, my right leg is forward. I'm gonna have both arms out in front of me, okay? So they're parallel with the floor. I'm gonna start by bringing whatever leg is forward, that arm is gonna be moving. We're gonna make a nice big rainbow up and around, and then once you get to parallel, turn that back palm and then bring the palm up your spine as high as you comfortably can reach, and then untwist that whole thing and repeat. We're gonna go 30 seconds here, starting now, nice and smooth. Now it might not look as deep as mine, or it might look even deeper. You might be able to get that hand really far up that back. Whatever you got, it should not feel tight. It should not feel painful, pinchy. If you feel a little stiff, that's cool, but I don't want tugging and pulling, especially at the shoulders. So if you need to keep the range of motion more limited and just stop here, or just come out to this position here where we make that T shape, that's totally cool. And then as we open up a little bit more, we will keep on working. We're gonna do about 5 more seconds, so maybe 1 or 2 more. And then we'll switch to the other side. And I'm gonna stay the same way so you can see what happens in this other angle, but we're gonna go ahead and get started. The key is to try not to lean back. We're staying really nice and stacked from the head all the way down to that knee that's on the floor. And we move slowly through this. This is not a movement for speed. We really wanna control those shoulders in and out, creating good contact with the front foot, the back knee and the back toes. Nice and smooth. We're gonna do about 2 more on this side. Make sure that that static arm isn't moving around either. So you don't want that to drift as you rotate and turn. We're trying to isolate the upper back, the thoracic spine. That's good there, guys. We have 1 more exercise. We're going for 45 seconds and then we are all done. We're gonna start in a standing position. We're gonna get into a nice shoulder width stance with our toes pointed out comfortably. We're gonna sit down in a squat as low as we can go. You could join me now, and we're gonna hold for 45 seconds. But what I also wanna incorporate here is some ankle rocks from side to side. So all I'm trying to do is just pick up 1 foot, lean over towards the side, just rock gently back and forth. If you can't quite get down super low, that's fine. You can maybe sit on a chair or a bench so that you're not working too hard. Again, this is still just a gentle mobility stretch. But try to push your elbows against your knees to open up the inner thighs. We rock side to side. Keep your spine nice and long. And just breathe. We can sit back down now for a static hold. Lengthen through your spine. One more deep breath. We're going to stand all the way up. Toes come forward. Reach all the way up overhead. Look up. Arch back just slightly. And then come on down. You can wiggle it out. And we are done. Great job, guys. That's our total body morning mobility routine. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Do this every morning if you'd like. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times a day, however often you'd like. But really try to work on improving the range of motion with the intended joints through the intended stretches. Don't rush it. Don't just drop into stretches to feel it, but really think about it. Treat it like exercise where we're mindful, intentional, and we slowly progress over time. Have a great day.